This lesson provides an overview of direct access and the benefits over a traditional virtual private network. So when we think about a VPN, it's really requiring the user to make a conscious effort to make that connection. They have to open up their network connections and say connect to the VPN. This is burdensome on the user, it doesn't give them a seamless experience if they're on-prem or off-prem, but also you're going to have many types of user who don't connect very often. I previously talked about the fact that Exchange, for example, can use ActiveSync, that you can access your mailbox without having to actually VPN. I can access remote desktop sessions using RD Gateway. And so you may have corporate assets, corporate machines that just don't VPN more than once a month or may not VPN for 6 months. As an IT department, that's very, very challenging. How do we patch them? How do we apply policy? How do we actually deploy new versions of applications? Windows Server 2008 and Windows 7 Enterprise and Ultimate Editions introduced a direct access technology, which you can think of at a very high level as an always-on connection to the corporate network. If that machine is connected to the internet, it's connected via direct access to your corporate intranet and your management servers. It is utilizing a very similar technology to a virtual private network. It is creating a tunnel between that computer and the corporate environment, but it's completely invisible to the end user. What's actually happening behind the scenes is there are 2 tunnels established. One tunnel is for IT infrastructure. As soon as a computer is turned on and it has an internet connection, this IT infrastructure tunnel is initiated and authenticated using the computer's certificate and credentials. This means as an IT department, you can start pushing out new policy, pushing out updates, pushing out new applications. Once a user logs into that machine, a second intranet tunnel is created, which allows the users to access those corporate systems on the corporate network without any user action required at all. How does that machine know if the user is trying to access a resource on the internet or a resource on your corporate network? And it's all based on the DNS suffix of the target that's trying to be accessed. A name resolution policy table is maintained on the client, which basically specifies this DNS suffix, for example, saviltech.com, well, that's a corporate resource. If you're trying to access saviltech.com, you have to go via the direct access tunnel. If I'm trying to access cnn.com, well, that's not part of the name resolution policy table, and that would just go out over the standard internet connection, so it wouldn't be tunneled through to your corporate direct access server. Now, direct access is actually built on IPv6, which is being adopted by the industry, but certainly IPv4 is more prevalent, and the internet is an IPv4 network. Fortunately, a number of IPv4 to IPv6 conversion technologies are used. For example, Teredo, IP HTTPS, which allows the tunneling of the IPv6 traffic inside an IPv4 network. 6to4 is also available, but it doesn't support NAT. So this is a fantastic technology, but there are some requirements. The machine that's using it has to be corporate joined, so it has to be a member of the domain. It also has to be running Windows 7 or Windows 8 Enterprise Edition. So this is not going to work for users' home machines. It's not going to work for Pro Editions. It's not going to work for non-Microsoft devices at all. And so while Direct Access gives you a great deal of functionality and is far more seamless for the user, it's great for the IT department being able to always connect to the machines, it's not going to replace VPN. You're still going to require VPN for non-corporate domain joined machines or those that are just not running Enterprise Edition. Now, there are a lot of differences between the Windows Server 2012 implementation of Direct Access and the 2008 R2 implementation. Out of the box, the 2008 R2 implementation was painful. It didn't support any IPv4 servers on your local intranet. So if you wanted to be able to talk to resources on your corporate intranet from a direct access client, that machine had to support IPv6. It had to have an IPv6 address. There were huge certificate requirements for direct access to function. It was very, very complicated to set up. Fortunately, many organizations actually would implement Forefront User Access Gateway. So UAG greatly simplified the setup experience and also provide a protocol translation technology to enable connectivity to IPv4 resources on your corporate intranet. For Windows Server 2012, the direct access functionality of UAG is now part of the direct access role. So the NAT 6to4 the DNS64 are all just part of Windows Server 2012. So you don't require UAG anymore. And also you have that very great simplified setup experience. There are actually additional features as well. For example, Windows Server 2012 supports multi-site support and geographical awareness. This means I can have multiple DirectAccess server deployments throughout the world. And my clients will now actually be able to pick the DirectAccess server that is closest to them. And this is ascertained by using HTTP probes that basically test, well, how long does it take to talk to these different DirectAccess servers? Now, this is only a feature in Windows 8 clients. So if you're Windows 7, there are ways to achieve something similar, but it's not as out of the box. For the security of DirectAccess, the computer account, the user accounts are leveraged all through Kerberos. Also, certificates can be used and even physical smart cards. In Windows 8, a virtual smart card can be leveraged, which actually uses the Trusted Platform module, the TPM, of the machine. This is very common in laptops. So what are the actual requirements for your Windows Server 2012 DirectAccess server? I already talked about the certificate requirements have really gone away. It's all handled automatically by DirectAccess for you if you're running Windows 8 clients. In the past, we required 2 public IP addresses that were consecutive. That's actually gone away. It was required for Teredo to ascertain the type of network address translation. So if you're using IP HTTPS, you no longer require this, and that is still supported. But if you want to use Teredo, then you would still want those 2 public IP addresses. DirectAccess can cross multiple Active Directory forests, providing there is a bidirectional Kerberos trust between the forests. And I can fully run this on server core. On the client side, I just require Windows 7 Enterprise or Windows 8 Enterprise. And certainly the focus of this is based around the Windows 8 edition. This concludes the lesson on an overview of DirectAccess and the benefits over a traditional VPN.